Monday Sidekick, the AI agent that knows you and your business, thinks ahead, and takes action. Ask it anything. Seriously. Monday Sidekick, AI you'll love to use. Start a free trial today on monday.com.
If your roof starts to leak or your floor's really squeaky, you live in a money pit. Money pit.
If your basement needs a pump or your place looks like a dump, you live in a money pit. Money pit. Pick up the telephone.
Fix up your home sweet home by calling 888-MONEY-PIT.
The Money Pit is presented by Dyche Coatings. Now here's Leslie Segretti.
Coast to coast and floorboards to shingles, this is the Money Pit. I'm Leslie Segretti, and with me as always is Jim Kenzie. Jim, did you do the tree tunnel of love?
Not yet. Nope.
It's going to all be gone soon.
It's beautiful, Leslie. I am going to convince you to come up here one year and see it.
I mean, I do love that fall foliage. I do. It's just so beautiful. And you're so lucky to live in the northern part of the U.S. And I know it's not like north, but it's more north than me.
And I tell you, people, Michigan, you're in the Midwest. They don't have a clue of the beauty of the state.
That upper peninsula is stunning.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's basically where you're at. You're real close to there. A tunnel of trees is just southwest of that. So check it out.
I love it. All right, you guys. We're going to start featuring tourism segments in the next edition of the Money Pit.
Hockey games, soda and popcorn. That's the best vacation trip there.
I love it. All right. Well, Jim's got his winter planned, hockey and fall foliage, and Leslie's thinking about skiing. I just skip ahead. That's what I do. Well, before we skip ahead, there's a lot of work that you guys could be tackling this time of year. And some of it is, to benefit the house now. And some of it is to just get ready for the season that's on the flip side or the back side of winter, I should say. So if your garden is, kind of been working great for you all summer, maybe you grew some beautiful veggies, maybe it's just been wonderful for all of the plants and the flowers. This is the time that you need to do some work to make sure that next year, come springtime, everything is going to be great. We want things to be vibrant and healthy, and there is some work you should be doing now to take care of that. So that's coming up. And it's fall. I mean, is your rake working overtime already? Well, before you bag up another pile of leaves, we've got a smarter, faster, and more eco-friendly way to clean up the yard this fall. We're going to tell you why not raking every leaf might be the best thing that you could do for your lawn and the planet. And also ahead, your fall yard work, well, maybe it's winding down, but before you stash that mower and hang up the rake, we've got a few easy tool care tips that'll keep everything running smooth come springtime. From fuel stabilizers to rust prevention tricks, we're going to walk you through a simple tool tune-up that will save you time, money, and headaches next season. That is all coming up. That's right, stuff you're going to do now, but you're not going to see the benefit for months. I love that for you guys. Listen, it all has to be done, and it's better to do it now than to do it later twofold. And also ahead, you guys, we have a great prize this hour from our friends over at Dyche Coatings. So let's hear what you are working on to give you a chance to win that great prize. Give us a call now at 888-MONEY-PIT. Jim, who's first?
All right, Leslie, let's welcome in Mark, who's looking for some water heating options. What are you looking at, Mark?
I'm trying to look at how I can add a solar boiler to our current water heater system and not have it look too gaudy. So just kind of reaching out to you guys to see what you think. There's some kits or things out there that are attractive and they're affordable.
Well, I mean, a solar boiler, it's also known as a solar water heater or solar domestic hot water system. They definitely can be cost effective for you to get some hot water to your home. They can also be used pretty much in any climate, and the fuel that they use is, of course, free. It's sunshine, right? But there is a great resource about solar water heaters on the energy.gov website. Now, the Energy Saver is specifically part of that website. So that's energy.gov/energy saver. But basically, the way they work is the heating system includes storage tanks and solar collectors. And there are really only two types, an active one or a passive one. And the difference being that the active one has done some recirculating and they kind of just stand, randomly just stand alone. They'll mount up on the roof. The tanks keep the water warm when it's not being used. I think in some climates, if you have a really, really rough winter, maybe it's very cold. I mean, it's not generally going to be a good choice, but we have met people on our camping trips that tell us that they've been using this type of system for a few years, and they always have, well equipped with amounts of hot water and all the tasty baked goods. So I think in the end, it can be a very good choice.
Heading out to Illinois, we've got Laura on the line who's looking to do a project with oil-based paint, but finding out that it's not available in that state. What's going on, Laura?
My ceilings are painted with oil-based paint, and we now live in the state of Illinois, and they say they do not sell oil-based paint, and I'm wondering how I can paint my ceiling.
Yeah, Laura, we're hearing more and more questions like this from people who live in states where oil-based or solvent-based paints are becoming more restrictive. I do understand that it is still available. It can be more expensive. It can only come in limited quantities, perhaps. But in your case, when we're talking about a ceiling, I think as long as you can clean that ceiling well, then you can go ahead and use a latex-based or even an alkyd-based primer. Kills is an excellent quality primer, and that's a water cleanup one, and that would give you a very good quality finish as well. Now, you have to remember that the primer kind of acts like the glue to the wall that ultimately will make your top coat paint stick. So you do need to do it because it acts as sort of like a better adhesive and causes a great system of paint that will cause that room to look beautiful, be more durable, and just kind of stand up to the test of time a little bit more. Now, with the primer, you want to make sure you go with a good quality primer. Generally, if there's a primer that's the same manufacturer as your top coat paint, just kind of go in that direction. But it's definitely something that you want to make sure that you are, taking care of, because it's going to help make sure that the top coat stays and lasts a lot longer than it would without. And you know what, Laura, keep in mind that whatever paint finish you choose, the more shiny that paint is, the more you're going to notice any imperfections in the wall. So if there's nail pops that you're trying to fix and you just go right over with something that has much more gloss, you're going to notice them immediately. So stick with sort of an eggshell. I feel like it's like a great forgiver, don't you, Jim?
Absolutely. You can cover all kinds of mistakes. Many a times we've used that, Leslie.
What kind of mistakes are you covering up there, Jimmy?
What mistakes? Next caller, really, next caller.
Everybody, you will forget the things that Jim has just said. Ooh, that's me hypnotizing you, by the way. Right. Look into my eyes. Oh, they're swirling. That's the sound of swirling, hypnotizing eyeballs.
Is that swirling eyesight? Yeah, okay.
Yes. All right, I'm going to snap my fingers. Everybody's going to wake up and have a home improvement question.
All right, Leslie, we're going out to Ohio, or maybe not. Kevin's from Ohio, but he's driving, so he could be just about anywhere. Kevin's dealing with some ants. I don't think they're mobile ants, but I think he means he has ants at his residence. What's going on there, Kevin?
Better than ants in your pants.
I've got these ants all over the place, and I put the Shake ant killer bait around the foundation of the house 2 times a year. I've got all these different ant bait traps and stuff inside the house. These damn ants are everywhere. I don't know what to do. I can't get rid of them.
I mean, when ants do get that bad, it is time to call a pro. Seriously, look, there's a lot of different types of home remedies that you could be using. Cayenne pepper, you sprinkle that around. Borax can even be sprinkled around. Even different types of spices and oils like peppermint and that sort of stuff. If you had a small ant problem, I'd say go with that. But I've seen where these ants can do, and once they get started, they are not going to stop. So I would just have a pro come in. They're using safe pesticides that you can't buy, and for good reason, because they know how to handle them. They know how to install them, or apply them, I should say. And they know where to put them and how much. And you're going to be pleased with the result rather than frustrated. I know it takes time, but when it's severe like this, you got to go to the pros. All right, Kevin, thanks so much for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT. Hey, are you a fan of our podcast? Well, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and we'll be doing a happy dance. Plus, it helps us keep the show going and growing. Just go to moneypit.com/review. You know what, guys? Are you ready to give your kitchen or your bath a seriously stunning upgrade without the cost or mess of a full renovation? Heck, yeah, you are. So we have teamed up with our friends at Daish Coatings to give one lucky listener a Marble Dream Resurfacing Kit. Now, this is a DIY kit that can completely transform your old laminate, wood, or your stone countertops into gorgeous faux marble in just a weekend. And get this, The prize is worth about $150. It's got everything you need to get that modern high-end look without the demolition, the dust, or a sky-high bill from a contractor. The Daesh Marble Dream Kit delivers professional results that are beautiful, durable, and totally doable. And hey, if you've already used one of Daesh's kits to create your dream surface, don't forget to enter it into their 2025 Show Us Your Countertops contest. They're looking for amazing DIY transformations, and your project could win big. But don't wait. The entry deadline is October 31st. If you want to enter their Show Us Your Countertops contest, head on over to DaeshCoatings.com. But if you're ready for your chance to win a countertop makeover, give us a call with your home improvement question at 888-MONEY-PIT. All right, Jim, who's our next winner? I mean, who's standing by?
Leslie, now we have Sherry, who lives in a very rural area and is looking for some help with the home security system.
I'm interested in buying a burglar alarm or some kind of security system for my house. I live in a rural area, so I'm not sure if that makes any difference in the choices that I would have to have installed.
Well, Sherry, you mentioned you're kind of in a rural, wooded area. I would say first, how is your Wi-Fi connection? Because generally security systems require pretty solid Wi-Fi. And if it's not solid Wi-Fi, you do want you to have backup support Wi-Fi. So it really is important that the Wi-Fi is good. You're also going to be using some items that need to communicate with one another, like perhaps a Nest thermostat or, even a Nest security system, anything like that. It's just got to speak to one another. So if the Wi-Fi isn't great, then you're going to have some issues. Now, if you do have a good Wi-Fi connection and the Wi-Fi goes down, there are systems that have cell phone dialer backups. So you're never really without a connection to that monitoring center. And I think you have to think about monitoring. You want to make sure that the system is being monitored 24/7 by an actual person. I mean, some of them are not. They're just recorded, and then somebody is, kind of reviewing the footage a few minutes later. So it's not as instantaneous as you would want or hope it to be, especially if you're feeling nervous being sort of in a more rural spot. You want to know that somebody is there and will be there ASAP because it is being monitored. But the main thing is that you have to make sure you have a good internet connection, because pretty much everything is internet based. And it's really changed how the whole security game works. You can pretty much put in any system. You just have to choose the one that has the right features and the benefits that you're looking for. And I would say first and foremost, 24-hour monitoring, and then you will be good to go. Thanks so much for calling in, Sherry. Well, as the growing season winds down, it's tempting to just let that garden go, but giving your flower beds and the veggie garden a little love now is going to pay off big time next spring. So let's start with your veggie garden. Once that final harvest is done, you want to clear out all the old plants. I mean, if you leave anything dead or if there's some diseased vegetation in place, it can lead to pests or fungus over the winter, and it kind of ruins the soil. So you want to pull up those plants, compost what's healthy, toss anything that's diseased in the trash, not the compost bin, because it's going to mess up the soil for the future. Next, you want to loosen and then enrich that soil. And fall is a great time to add compost, aged manure, or another organic matter, because as it breaks down over the winter season, it will improve the soil structure, the drainage, and the nutrients for next year's crops. Now, for your flower beds, if you have perennials, you want to give them a trim, but don't cut everything to the ground. Some plants like coneflowers and black-eyed Susans, they have seed heads that the birds love to snack on all winter, so you can leave those. And plus, it kind of adds some interest to your winter landscape. Now, you can consider at this time adding a layer of mulch, especially if you do live in a colder climate. That mulch will help regulate the soil temperature. It kind of prevents a frost heave, and it protects those plant roots. A 2 to 3 inch layer of shredded leaves or bark is definitely going to do the trick. And don't forget bulbs, now is the time to plant those spring bloomers like tulips, daffodils, crocuses. You just want to be sure to get them into the ground before it freezes and maybe throw in a few extra so you'll have a colorful surprise next year. And finally, label any new plantings, clean up your tools, dream about next season, all that jazz. Your garden might be going dormant now, but the prep you do is going to set the stage for a thriving, colorful comeback in just a few months. All right, let's not get crazy. I know I talk about spring, but I don't want to overlook the ski season. But it is nice to know that it's going to look nice when we're done skiing, right?
Oh, yeah. Amen.
All right, good. All right, Jim, who's next?
All right, Leslie, we got a voice message from Lee, and he has a question regarding some siding. Let's give a listen to what Lee had to say.
I have cement board siding on the exterior of my home. I have a German Shepherd puppy that gnawed the corners off of 4 pieces of the siding in the middle of a wall. The corner, what I mean by corners, it's about a triangular corner about 1 inch deep on each board. Obviously, I can't remove the board off the home, so how do I repair that to get it looking somewhat normal?
Well, Lee, I think, first of all, it sounds like you have a really cute pup who needs a new toy because just chewing on the corners of your walls isn't going to work. So first, we've gone to the pet store. We've got a new toy. But I think repairing the damage is going to depend on how much of it is actually physically gone. If it's a small area, which it sounds like what you're describing, there's a product called Wood Epox. It's a 2-part product. And basically you take a scoop out of each little pint-sized container and you mush it together and it becomes like a putty. And you just kind of keep mushing it and mixing it until it becomes activated. And then you use this putty to actually form that corner. Now, depending, it could be a little difficult where you have surfaces that are adjacent to, different things, or maybe you get different movement. It depends. I mean, if you can reform this corner, that's what's really cool about the Wood Epox. It just depends on the area that you're working on. Because if you can get into the spot and make that corner, it's going to be great. But if it kind of butts against a frame or something, you're going to have a little bit more of a difficult time. And once it dries and cures, you can sand it, you can chisel it, you can saw it. I mean, basically it becomes just like wood. And then of course, you're going to have to paint it. Now, the other part of it is that you obviously can't remove the siding. I mean, you can remove the siding. It's not an easy project, but it can be done. It's done all the time. And typically the way this happens is the first piece comes off and then usually it's kind of damaged. It can't be replaced. I mean, it depends if it's clappered, for example. I'll give you a trick of the trade, though, for clappered siding. If you have nails that go through the clappered, what we would recommend in a case like this is to take a very long, thin-set nail and just drive the nail all the way through that first board and the second board underneath that. And then what that does, it tends to release the board that's like tucked up under it, and then you can take it out. And then what you would do is cut a new piece, and then you can kind of stagger that joint. So if the first piece, maybe you're going to put down like a 2-foot piece on the end of a building, the second layer down, you might put that joint 4 feet from the end of the building, and so on. So you don't end up with everything sort of stacked on top of one another. You may also need some professional help here if none of this makes sense to you, but I can tell this kind of thing happens all the time. It can be repaired that way. I would give the wood epoxy a shot first because, nothing ventured, nothing gained. And of course, take that puppy on a field trip to the local pet store and find something good to chew on. Well, this fall, don't just decorate for your eyes. Decorate for your nose, too. You can layer in cozy seasonal scents throughout your home, and it can completely change how it feels. You can try some DIY simmer pots with orange slices, cinnamon sticks, and cloves on the stove. Or you can opt for those reed diffusers and essential oil blends and earthy scents like cedarwood and nutmeg or cardamom. Plus, you can place different scents in different zones. So think citrusy spice near the kitchen, woodsy in the entry, and something like vanilla in the bedroom. All those wonderful, wonderful scents. Although I feel like if I put vanilla upstairs, I'm just going to want to go back downstairs and make cupcakes. Whatever. You do you in your bedroom, you guys. Whatever you like, okay? All right. Well, it's an easy, low-cost way to elevate your home's vibe, and it really helps you feel like fall has truly arrived. No paintbrush required. All right, Jim, let's get back to the phones.
Hi, Kelly. You've got the Money Pit. How can we help out?
How do you get rid of freeloading bugs, slugs, and unwanted rodents from your yard, your garage, your basement, and your home?
There's a great article that's going to walk you through all of the tips to kind of keep those rodents away on moneypit.com. But I think this is also a good case in terms of the insects, for sort of a general pesticide treatment, because where else do you begin with that kind of stuff? What kind of infestation do you have going on? I think unless you know specifically what's going on to treat those specific insects, a rodent's more like general management, whereas an insect is a very specific treatment for a very specific insect. And a pesticide professional or somebody that really does this for a living, they're going to know what they're targeting, how they're targeting, the right treatments for it. So, and don't be afraid. You can go with these pesticide pros if you've got kids in the house and pets in the house. There is a product for every type of installation, but definitely that's where you start to get it under control. All right. I hope you get those guests out of your house quick. All right. Show of hands. How many of us are guilty of going into full-blown leaf raking mode the moment that first big pile hits the ground? Listen, if that's you, don't worry. You're not alone. But this fall, before you grab the rake and start filling up those paper bags, which, by the way, are the smallest opening with a large pile of leaves, right. It just is a recipe for disaster. I want you to kind of stop and rethink this cleanup strategy, because the leaves, they're not just yard waste. They're actually garden gold. So first off, let's talk about what happens when you leave a layer, sort of a light layer even, of leaves right on the lawn. When you chop them up with a mulching mower, those leaf bits will break down over the winter and return all of those nutrients right back into the soil. It's like a free lawn treatment, and your grass is going to thank you for it come springtime. Now, if you're raking leaves into big piles, you can consider saving them for compost, because leaf compost is rich in carbon, and that's going to help balance those kitchen scraps and the green waste in the bin. And by springtime, you're going to have nutrient-rich humus to work with, to put into those garden beds and into those flower pots. And that's what you want to encourage excellent growth. And what about the environmental benefits? If you leave some leaves in the garden bed, it's going to provide habitat for pollinators like butterflies and native bees, which overwinter in that leaf litter. And if you overclean the yard, you can actually disrupt those helpful ecosystems. Of course, if you live in a town with leaf pickup, here's a good tip. You can lay down a tarp and rake the leaves right onto that instead of sort of bagging as you go. And then you kind of drag the whole thing onto the curb in one spot. It's way easier for your back, and it sort of speeds up the whole process of the cleanup. Bottom line, not every leaf needs to go. A little thoughtful cleanup will go a long way, and your lawn and your garden and your local wildlife will all benefit. All right, well, we've got lots to keep you busy around your money pit. Now it's your turn to keep us busy. Who's up next, Jim?
Leslie, we're going to get a call one day. And it's going to be from somebody with their leaves at the end of the street for the leaf pickup.
Now, Leslie, you weren't real clear about that. Was I supposed to leave the tarp there? I got everything to the street. Am I supposed to leave the tarp there, or what do I do with it?
I think the question's going to be, they're not taking the tarp. I don't understand.
Yes, they might be, yeah.
What am I missing?
Right. All right, Leslie. We've got David who's calling about the perfect fall cleanup project, and let's hear what he had to say.
I need to get a power washer. What PSI should I try to get?
Well, yeah, you're right. When you're shopping for a power washer, you're going to see something called PSI, or pounds per square inch. But there's also a number of things you want to consider outside of the PSI. You also need to look at the gallons per minute that pressure washer is going to deliver, the size of the motor. Are you looking at gasoline or electric? Those are some things that you have to consider. Electric, it's going to be a lot less expensive, and it's going to be super easy to maintain. As long as you can get the cord around the house to where you need to use it, it's definitely going to work for you. I think around 1800 PSI is going to be great for general purpose house cleaning. And that'll really just solve pretty much everything around the place. All right, well, good luck with your project, and thank you again for calling us at 888-MONEY-PIT. Hey, Money Pit listeners, are you ready to give your kitchen or bath a seriously stunning upgrade without the cost or mess of a full renovation? We have teamed up with our friends at Dice Coatings to give one lucky listener a Marble Dream Resurfacing Kit. Now, that's a DIY kit that can completely transform your old laminate, wood, or stone countertops into gorgeous faux marble in just a weekend. And get this, the prize is worth around $150. It's got everything you need right in that kit. You'll get a modern high-end look without the demolition, the dust, or a sky-high bill from your contractor. The Dice Marble Dream Kit delivers professional results that are beautiful, durable, and totally doable. So give us a call to get help with your home improvement project and for your chance to win right here by giving us a call at 888-MONEY-PIT. Well, as fall yard work wraps up and we trade garden gloves for snow boots, now's the perfect time to show a little love to the tools that worked so hard for you all season. Whether it's your mower, the pruner, or a leaf blower, a few simple steps now can save you from frustration and extra costs come springtime. So let's start with the lawnmower. First of all, you want to give it a good cleaning, scrape off any stuck-on grass clippings from underneath the deck, and wipe down the exterior. If it's gas-powered, you either want to drain the fuel tank or add a fuel stabilizer so the gas doesn't degrade over the winter and then gum up the engine. And now is also a great time to remove and sharpen the blade, or you can have it professionally sharpened so that it's ready to go next season. Next up, your hand tools like your pruners, your shovels, the trowels. Clean off any dirt or plant debris and then dry them thoroughly. For rust prevention, you want to lightly coat the metal surfaces with a little bit of oil. Vegetable oil will work just fine in a pinch. You can tighten any loose screws and check the wood handles for cracks. A quick sanding followed by a coat of linseed oil will help keep those handles splinter-free and strong. And the power tools, like your hedge trimmers or string trimmers, those should be cleaned and stored with care. For battery-powered tools, remove the battery and store it in a cool, dry place, not the freezing garage. For corded tools, you want to make sure those cords are coiled up neatly and free of any nicks or cuts. And don't forget the garden hose. You want to drain them fully and coil them up to prevent cracks from freezing water. You want to shut off and drain any outdoor faucets too, and that will help you avoid pipes that are bursting in the winter. And finally, make sure everything gets stored off of the ground if possible to protect it from moisture. Pegboard, shelving, wall hooks, they can definitely go a long way in keeping your tools organized and rust-free. Taking a little time now to winterize your tools means no surprises next spring. You just grab and go when that weather warms back up. All right, now for more questions from you. Jim, who do we have up next?
All right, now we're going to talk plaster wall finishes with Diane. Diane, how can we help out?
Hi, I want to do a Venetian plaster effect in my movie room.
Okay.
And I bought the product from Lowe's, Valspar, so I'm not sure if it's a true Venetian plaster, but it's supposed to be probably an easier way to do it. And I wasn't sure if I should do it on a focal wall only or do the whole room, or if that would be too much.
Well, let's talk a little bit first about what Venetian plaster is. It's a plaster that when it's mixed, I mean, this is in its traditional form back in Italy, which is why they call it Venetian plaster. They mix that color tint into the plaster that then was troweled onto the wall. And as it was troweled on, it sort of became polished. So you get these areas of variegated shine. And it's not porous, but it kind of looks like in some spots it's shiny, in some spots maybe you skipped a spot with the sheen. It almost has like a coral look to it in some spots because you can get these rough, pocky areas, and then you have some areas that are super shiny. I mean, it's a technique, but the way it's sort of been packaged now to make Venetian plaster easier to achieve at home is that it's a technique in a product, and it's sort of, that's how you put it up. I mean, it's like a texture and it's flat. It's hard to explain unless you've seen it. I mean, it's very popular in restaurant spaces, in galleries. It's sort of a combination of both finishes, a texture and a flat, because you get these smooth, shiny, burnished areas. And then right next to it, you have these openish spots. And while it's flat, it still kind of has these divots into it. So it's a kind of mix of these two textures in the process of the install.
I'm thinking I just want to do maybe 2 focal walls instead of the whole room, but that's what I wanted your advice if you had anything to add to that.
You know, Diane, I can't tell you how many calls we get about these textured surfaces, and people are tired of them and they want to get rid of them. And it's hard to know that you're going to love it for the long haul, and you will put in a ton of work in installing it. It is beautiful, and it's a finish that if you like, you're going to love it in the house, and it's a process that you're either willing to learn or, you know, sometimes pay quite an expensive having it installed professionally for you. But if it's something that you know you love, like you've seen this Venetian plaster look somewhere, then I would say go for it. It's been very popular. It has continued to stay popular in the right type of space. And the color is sort of rich and muted at the same time because of that burnishing. I mean, it really is a very lovely finish. I mean, it definitely is great for sort of more of a focal wall look than an entire room. Is this something that you're planning on doing yourself?
Yes.
Yeah, so I think you're going to find that it's definitely sort of a trial and error sort of project. Maybe if you can get a sample piece of drywall that you've sort of prepped first, and then work on the technique so that you feel comfortable before you actually apply it to your walls and on such a larger surface. And I would definitely just keep it as that focal wall, or maybe even just the area above a wainscoting or something like that, depending on the room you want to put it in. But I for sure would work on like a good sample section, figure out the process I feel most comfortable with, and make sure I'm happy with the results.
Okay, thank you so much.
Time now for Jim's favorite part of the hour. Time to look at our emails. I know you guys write in. We see them. We're happy to help you out. So, Jim, who'd you pick out?
I'm actually elated, Leslie. You know it is my favorite.
I know you love it.
I did. I picked out David in New Jersey, and he wrote into Team Money Pit asking, we recently dug out an old garden patch that was up against the house. I'm just wondering what's the best kind of fill to use. We have some sand left over from a patio project. I was just wondering if that would do. We would, of course, grade it away from the house.
All right. I just want to clarify that when you say back above the foundation, you don't want to go above the foundation. I mean, you need to stay at least 6 inches. You want kind of a 6-inch space between the bottom of the siding and the foundation. You don't want to cover it up. Now, if the dirt gets too close to the house, then you're going to have termites and carpenter ants and rot, and it's definitely going to find their way in. But I would not use that 3/4 minus mix there. What I would use is clean fill dirt. And I mean, clean fill dirt is basically absent of any organic matter. So there's no branches, there's no leaves, there's no grass in it, nothing that would decay, nothing that would hold moisture more. And you should use that to bring the level back to where you want it to get that slope where you want. And then it's always a good idea to add an additional layer of something on top of that. Now, that could be stone if you want that kind of finish. It could be topsoil. It could be mulch. Whatever you want it to be, that's fine. But think of that as a top coat. You don't want to fill in that area with anything organic. You don't want to build up anything organic there. And I mean, you know, that fill dirt is really inexpensive. So that is the thing that you want. And it, depending on how much coverage you need, there could be the sort of a small delivery charge if you get it dropped off, but it will pack very well. It's very easy to work with. And then you could go ahead and put that, you know, that topsoil on top to plant something sort of near the foundation, but not right up next to. All right, who's next?
We've got Stan in Ohio who wrote, my garage door does not seal properly when it's down, and anytime it rains or snows, water comes in under the door. How do I seal that gap?
Yeah, I get it. That's frustrating. So your floor should sort of be stepped down at the edge of the door to prevent that water from getting under it. I mean, that's really the right way to do it. But unfortunately, it's a shortcut that gets taken by a lot of modern masons. They just don't put that step in, so the floor ends up being flush. And when that happens, the only thing that stands between you and the water getting in is that seal along the bottom of the door. Now, if that seal isn't hitting the floor evenly across, you could do a couple of things. If you have a wood garage door, you could actually trim that door so that the garage door bottom is parallel with the existing floor. If it's not, you could attach a 1x to the inside surface of that garage door, like a 1x4 or a 1x6, and attach it so that the bottom of the edge of that 1x is resting even on the floor, and then that top would slope up however it needs. The key here, though, is that you need to be able to add a gasket across the bottom so that you have a way to seal where it strikes the concrete. So this is going to be that sort of thing, kind of like a moving target because that concrete floor is settled. So now is a good time to do it. You want to make sure that seal is getting good contact with that concrete floor, and that should do the trick to stop everything from coming in. Well, that's a wrap on this hour of the Money Pit, and we packed in a lot of fall home wisdom. We kicked things off with a tip to make raking smarter, not harder, and then we dug into winterizing your veggie and flower beds, sharing how to prep for the garden for a successful spring bloom, from cutting back spent plants to adding mulch and protecting those perennials. And finally, we finished strong with one of our most overlooked but most valuable fall tasks, tuning up your tools before they go into hibernation. A quick clean, sharpen, and oil can extend the life of everything from your mowers to your hand tools and help you hit the ground running next spring. Remember, you can do it yourself, but you don't have to do it alone.
On the Money Pit Radio Show. On the Money Pit Radio Show.
Pick up the telephone.
Fix up your home sweet home by calling 888-MONEY-PIT.
Doug. Here we have the Limu Emu in its natural habitat, helping people customize their car insurance and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Fascinating. It's accompanied by his natural ally, Doug.
Limu? Is that guy with the binoculars watching us?
Cut the camera. They see us.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Savings vary. Underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates. Excludes Massachusetts.
Calling all Virginia residents. Level up your career with a local school that's getting national recognition. Earn your doctorate in business with the #1 private university in Virginia, ranked by U.S. News and World Report. Marymount University Online, a quality DBA designed for working professionals. Visit our website for more information at online.marymount.edu. Again, that's online.marymount.edu.